I died during the crescendo. Nathaniel stood at the altar, gripping my sister Blair's hand like it was the only anchor in a storm. He recited the promise with a gravity that shattered me, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, until death parts us. That was my wedding. That was my life. Now, I was just a ghost, a flickering distortion in the air above the aisle. I was forced to watch my sister wear my skin, steal my name, and marry the love of my life. My gaze drifted to Nathaniel. God, he was beautiful. Sharp jawline, imposing height, a presence that usually sucked the warmth out of a room. He was a man who wore frost-like armor. Strangers barely dared to breathe in his presence. But today, the ice had cracked. When he whispered the words, "I do," a flush crept up his neck to the tips of his ears. And Blair? She stood there in the snow-white gown, my gown, looking up at him with doe-eyed adoration. She gazed at him with a shyness and longing that suggested she was the one who had loved him in silence for years. Not me, not Violet. I hovered by the stage, watching them bathe in the applause and the shower of petals. They were radiant. They were the center of the universe. Meanwhile, my corpse lay in the suffocating dark of the basement. My blood pooled beneath me, a slow-moving crimson tide. I was a rose that withered just as it reached full bloom. I thought dying would numb the pain. I thought my heart had hardened enough to withstand anything this world threw at me. I was wrong. Seeing them kiss, seeing his lips press against hers with that tenderness, it felt like a physical blow. A phantom agony ripped through my chest, twisting where my heart used to beat. The room erupted in cheer. They were the golden couple, and I was the excess variable, the glitch. I couldn't watch this. I turned to leave. I made it 3 steps before an invisible force slammed into me. I gasped, or tried to, as I was yanked back. I stumbled, confused. Dead souls are supposed to move on, right? Dissolve into the ether, walk into the light, go to hell something. So why was I still here? Why was I stuck in this grotesque purgatory? I didn't believe it. I tried for the door again. Slam. I tried again. Slam. Dozens of times. Every attempt ended with me snapping back like a dog on a short leash, my spectral form aching from the impact. Fine. If I couldn't leave, I'd wait. I floated to an empty corner and sat cross-legged, resigning myself to the inevitable. The Grim Reaper had to show up eventually. But death didn't come for me. Blair did. Or rather, when Blair moved, I moved. She didn't see me, but the invisible tether jerked me out of my corner and dragged me straight into the bridal suite. I watched, helpless, as she peeled off the white wedding dress. She slipped into a crimson reception gown, checking her reflection, my face, in the mirror with a satisfied smirk. Then, the pull came again. I was forced to follow her back to the banquet hall. I watched her loop her arm through Nathaniel's. I watched them move from table to table, clinking glasses, laughing, playing the perfect host. The realization hit me cold and hard. I was bound to her. When I was alive, she turned my life into chaos. Now that I'm dead, she owns my ghost. I looked down, staring at nothing. I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Chapter 2. Nathaniel played the shield, intercepting almost every champagne flute headed her way. But Blair still managed to down enough alcohol to float a battleship. My sister has always had a hollow leg. We used to go shot for shot in secret. But around Nathaniel, I played the delicate flower. I claimed a severe alcohol allergy and never touched a drop. Blair didn't know about that little deception. She was knocking them back, oblivious to the way Nathaniel's brow furrowed deeper with every glass she drained. The wedding finally wrapped. The invisible leash yanked me along as Blair dragged Nathaniel into the bridal suite. She immediately switched into the role of a doting wife. It was painful to watch. A trust fund princess who's never lifted a finger, trying to act domestic. The dissonance was loud enough to shatter glass. Nathaniel reeked of whiskey and exhaustion. He headed straight for the bathroom. Blair, seizing the opportunity, tried to slip in right behind him. Co-ed shower time. She was promptly, but firmly, shut out. Nathaniel closed the door in her face. She didn't get it. She assumed he was just being chivalrous, sparing her the effort. She skipped away, humming a tune, and started washing fruit at the wet bar with agonizing slowness. The staff had been dismissed for the night. We were alone. I sat on the velvet sofa, watching my murderer preen. A dark sense of satisfaction curled in my gut. When I was alive, Blair was obsessed with the details of my relationship. She constantly fished for intel. At first, I told her the truth, but as her questions got weirder and more invasive, I started gaslighting her. I told her Nathaniel was a cold man with a scorching hot libido. I told her he was insatiable behind closed doors, and that we had crossed every physical line imaginable. The reality? In all our years together, we never went all the way. I had childhood trauma that made intimacy difficult. Nathaniel and I had a pact. No sex until the ring was on my finger. He respected it. He respected me. Blair was operating on bad intel. She was gearing up for a marathon of lust. If she came at him with that aggressive, seduce me energy, she was going to trigger every alarm bell in his head. Nathaniel hates liars. If he realizes she's playing him. I smirked. Good luck, sis. The bathroom door opened. Nathaniel stepped out, a towel slung low on his hips, steam rolling off his skin. Blair tossed the half-cut apple into the sink. She couldn't get into that bathroom fast enough. She skipped the bath too slow. She wanted to scrub down and get to the main event. I watched her use my body wash. She moved with the entitlement of someone in her own home. The bathroom filled with steam. She admired her reflection, my reflection, in the fogged mirror. Over the years, Blair used her looks to cycle through boyfriends like fast fashion. Me? I only ever wanted Nathaniel. She used to mock me, called me a prude, said I was wasting my assets by not leveraging them for maximum profit. Yet, after all that, she ends up here, trying to steal the one man I spent years protecting. Where did she get the audacity? I stared at the wall, lost in the question. Then, my eyes drifted to the welcome poster still leaning against the luggage. Nathaniel Blair. The memory hit me like a physical slap. 7 years ago, my mother forced me to legally change my name to Blair Sterling. No, just Blair. I dated Nathaniel as Blair. He fell in love with a girl named Blair. So, on paper, this marriage was legitimate. She was Blair. She was marrying him openly, legally, under the sun. And me? The girl who was born Violet? I've just been a shadow puppet for 7 years. A placeholder. The steam in the bathroom condensed into water droplets sliding down the glass. A phantom tear tracked down my face, mimicking the motion. It's the ultimate joke. I died without even knowing who I really was. Chapter 3. My life was a blink. A tragedy in 2 acts. Act 1.